Hello, my name is Dennis Halandzovskyi. Thank you for joining me. If you believe in the power of truth and a steadfast, united Ukraine, please subscribe and like this video now. Today, we turn our focus to a crucial moment unfolding at the G20 summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. On the sidelines of this global gathering, European and allied leaders met to discuss how they might bolster or reshape a peace plan proposed by the United States for Ukraine. They are acting under significant pressure, aware that any misstep could leave Ukraine exposed while giving Russia an opening to exploit division among its opponents. What we're seeing is a growing sense of urgency among Ukraine's allies. The United States has already laid out a blueprint for peace, but European capitals are signaling that the plan as drafted may be insufficiently protective of Ukraine's core interests, mainly its territorial integrity, ability to rebuild, and long-term security, while armed resistance continues. European leaders emphasize the principle nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. They insist Kyiv must be a central party at every stage. In Johannesburg, the discussions go beyond mere support. They include concrete ideas: how to increase financial pledges, how to set up multinational security guarantees, how to ensure reconstruction funds don't favor Russia's influence, how to lock in a mechanism for enforcement of any agreement. The Allied vibe is tentative but decisive. The message is clear: we will not let a deal be done hastily that undermines Ukraine's future. Even more critically, this meeting signals to Kyiv and Moscow alike that Europe is stepping up. The US may have led the drafting of the peace plan, but now the broader coalition is signaling that they will not be passive. For Ukraine, that means potential leverage. A stronger allied front means Moscow faces more robust resistance to any outcome that simply lets Russia dictate terms. But at the same time, the pressure is immense. Time is short and war rages on. Every day the battle continues. Every town shelled, every drone strike across the line underscores that any delay in negotiations must not equal paralysis in support. Ukraine cannot wait for perfect diplomacy while the front line remains active and Russian forces adjust. The Allied meeting at G20 must translate into action. Increased arms deliveries, financial support, sanctions enforcement, not just photo ops. What does this all mean for Ukraine right now? It means that Kyiv should use the moment to demand clarity. What exactly will the peace plan guarantee? What role will Ukraine play in drafting it? What enforcement mechanism holds Russia to account? Who pays for reconstruction and under whose oversight? These are the high-stakes questions being quietly negotiated behind closed doors in Johannesburg. And for the global audience, the key takeaway: this is not just about Ukraine. It's about the rules of the post-war world. If a major Western coalition allows Russia to secure concessions through war, the precedent is troubling. If Ukraine stands firm and its allies deliver, then the message is stronger: aggression will not pay, sovereignty matters, and partnerships hold. That sets the stage for Block 2, where we examine what might happen next, possible scenarios, and how Ukraine can navigate this diplomatic high wire. Welcome back. As we shift into the next phase of our analysis, let's dig into how the outcomes emerging from the G20 allied discussions could reshape the war in Ukraine, and which scenarios Ukraine must prepare for. First scenario: the Allied meeting translates into a stronger, revised peace framework. Europe pushes for amendments, tougher security guarantees, deeper reconstruction commitments, stronger sanctions against Russia embedded in the plan. Ukraine gains more influence in the drafting and oversight, and the US plan is adjusted accordingly. In this scenario, Kyiv enters negotiations from a position of strength, armed with the backing of a multilateral front, not just bilateral support from Washington. That would mark a major strategic win for Ukraine. Second scenario: the meeting produces only modest tweaks. Europe expresses concern but fails to secure detailed commitments. The US peace plan proceeds largely unchanged. Ukraine gains some marginal improvements, but core concessions remain unchanged: territory, troop reductions, or limitations on Ukraine's alliance ambitions. This outcome risks leaving Ukraine vulnerable, diplomatically committed to a deal before the battlefield victory is secured. Russia may see this as an opportunity to pause, rebuild, and resume aggressive actions later. Third scenario: the meeting triggers division, either between Europe and the US or among European allies themselves. Incoherence would embolden Russia. Ukraine might face reduced support or slower deliveries of arms and funds. The diplomatic initiative could stall. Ukraine would then bear increased risk of being pressured to agree without favorable terms, or of fighting without effective international framework protecting its gains. Which outcome is most likely? Possibly the first, if Ukraine and its allies act with resolve and clarity, pressing for concrete, binding commitments now. The second is plausible if momentum falters and the proposal is too advanced to restructure. The third is the danger if global attention drifts while battles continue. For Ukraine's leadership, the critical tactical steps now: insist on clear wording in any peace plan that protects all of Ukraine's internationally recognized territory. Ensure reconstruction funds are supervised by Ukrainian-led bodies with international oversight, not redirected via Russian proxies. Demand security mechanisms that involve European and NATO partners ready to enforce obligations if Russia violates them. Maintain high tempo of military and economic support. Negotiations should not be mistaken for a truce without guarantees. Communicate clearly with domestic and international audiences. Ukraine is not conceding, but setting terms. Finally, this process at the G20 is more than a diplomatic sideline, is a strategic hinge point for Ukraine's future. The world is watching. Will the coalition stand by Ukraine's terms, or will convenience drive an early deal that leaves Ukraine vulnerable? The stakes could not be higher. Ukraine's sovereignty, Europe's security, and the credibility of alliances all hinge on what happens next. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you found this update meaningful. And thank you to all of Ukraine's partners for your help and support. Your solidarity is Ukraine's strength.